Some conventional wisdom becomes conventional wisdom because it simply stands the test of time. Some rules of thumb, some phrases that become old hat, sometimes those stick around for a reason. And I don't know if this has ever been more true in my lifetime. The NFL is living week to week, day to day, in a way right now that is kind of remarkable and kind of hard to wrap your head around. We say any given Sunday, or Monday, or Thursday, or occasionally Saturday, or Friday, and then during COVID, Tuesday and Wednesday, I think. Maybe there wasn't a Wednesday. I think we got all 7 days of the week in 2020, 2021, somewhere in that season. It really is about the week you're playing as much as it appears to be about your opponent at this point. We were reminded of that yet again last night in a Thursday night football game that should not have gone that way on paper, and we may be reminded of that time and time again throughout this upcoming weekend of action, punctuated by Chiefs Lions on Sunday Night Football. Welcome into Everything Else. I'm Joshua Brisco, Tucker D. Franklin, producing and joining in shortly. We did the show on Monday, and the Chiefs played the Jags and lost, and I'm going to assume that you've probably gotten most of your fill of Jaguars sadness. I will tell you this, though. There is still a sad fans. I know it is not the fun form of sad fans, but we are going to do that at the very end of today's show to fully expel that Jags game, one final dip into the sadness, and then hopefully that will send you into a much happier weekend. But we will have a sad fans at the end of today's show, and we're going to talk a lot about Chiefs-Lions with just a sprinkling of Chiefs-Jags and a little bit of a calibration where I want to make sure we're all on the same page with where the NFL stands right now. What we saw last night, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo headbutting each other to victory, is another perfect reminder of what the NFL looks like right now. I think without almost any question, you could say that NFL teams, pick your power ranking, do your power rankings however you want to do it. NFL teams 1 through 20 are a little bit more than a coin flip at this point on a week-to-week basis. The Giants, who beat the Eagles last night, 2 losses in a row for Philly. The Giants, who beat the Eagles last night, lost last week to the winless New Orleans Saints, who got their first win against them. And this isn't like quarterbacks changing. This isn't fundamentally different team building. This isn't week 1 versus week 18. In a 5-day period, the Giants lost to the Saints and beat the Eagles. The margins are so small, so narrow. And that's going to end up being a thing that has, of course, dictated how the first quarter or so of this Chiefs season's gone, and it's going to end up explaining what happens the rest of the way by and large. It's not just the Chiefs. And in fact, it's 31 teams, Jets. 31 teams have an actual argument where they could sit here on Friday and say, well, if X, Y, and Z goes our way against opponent B, we, Team A, we can get the win. And they're right. That's true. The Jets are alone as the only winless team in football at this point. Do you know what they have coming up on Sunday? An early morning overseas kickoff against the Denver Broncos. That, to me, feels like a perfect opportunity for the Jets to join the club. Go ahead and get in here on our in any given Sunday. Find that wave and hop on in. Because the Jets, frankly, are slightly too competent to be winless. I know that because the Saints aren't winless. Everybody has a case for this now. The Lions are undefeated since week 1. They're the hottest team in football by that metric, right? They lost in week 1. They've won every game since. So the Lions are good. They are hot. They haven't beaten a lot of great teams in that span, but every game is dangerous in the modern NFL. That's kind of my angle here, right? So the Lions lost in week 1 to a very good Green Bay Packers team that in that moment seems to kind of make their claim that, you know what, top of the NFC right now is Packers-Eagles. Those are the two teams that belong there because the Packers came in and they knocked off Detroit week 1. The Green Bay Packers went on to lose to the then winless Cleveland Browns, giving them their first win of the season. Quarterbacked by current Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Flacco, who just got traded away. He beat the Packers. I mean, his defense played a decently sized role. But Joe Flacco's Browns beat the Packers that beat the Lions. Then the Packers went on to tie the Dallas Cowboys in prime time. And that's the only team that's knocked off the Lions so far. A team that lost to Joe Flacco's Browns and tied the Dallas Cowboys. The Bills lost to the Patriots last week in Buffalo. Well, Drake May looked good. Patriots moving in the right direction. There's no real shame in losing to a New England Patriots team who started the year with a loss to the Raiders, who haven't won a game since. The Carolina Panthers are 2-3 with a narrow, sad win over the Miami Dolphins and a 30-0 thumping of the Atlanta Falcons, who are fresh off a win over J.J. McCarthy's Vikings and who beat the Commanders last week. This is where the NFL stands now. And now I did see a comment earlier from Alex that would be in a position to truly take advantage of this chaos. That's something we talked about last week. We talked about on Monday before the Jags game, because a lot of these things I'm mentioning now, I mentioned on Monday, they were true then. The Giants have just jolted my heart once more that this is the state of things. And it keeps happening in primetime, which kind of rules. Like, I'm thrilled with that. If it's on a team I'm rooting for, give me chaos. So a lot of this, and you're going to recognize some very similar patterns here. I promise it's not because I'm getting bored. It's not because I only have one angle anymore. I'm telling you, we're going to say a lot of the same things today that we said on Monday and that we said last Friday, because a lot of the same stuff is true. With a win, the Chiefs are in pretty good position to just kind of grub around and claw their way back up the AFC, and they're very, 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 very close to being able to do it with Rashee Rice once again. So if you tell me, yeah, what's the don't do this. I'm not telling you to do this. But what's the Jets over Broncos, Chiefs over Lions parlay looking like? If those two things happen, we're gonna feel amazing on Monday. No one is safe from the weird upset that, air quotes, like, shouldn't have happened. Including the Chiefs, including the Lions, including the Bills, including everybody but the Jets deserves a seat at this particular table of any given, let's say, any given game day. It's kind of a remarkable place to be in. And it is a proper connective tissue in my mind from Chiefs Jags to Chiefs Lions. Here's the very short version of the Chiefs Jags takeaway from me. And if you want to hear more about Chiefs Jags, which I imagine I'm talking to a very small number of people in this instance, people who both want to hear more about Chiefs Jags and didn't catch it on your own accord this week. But if you want to hear a Chiefs Jags breakdown, we talked about it, exclusively on Tuesday's Only Weird Games. Talked a little bit about some of the positives you can take away from it on yesterday's Only Weird Games. So we've covered the game in multiple places. The show obviously being Monday, Friday. We did the show before the Jags game. Here we are now. Here's the boiled down version. If you say, hey, I don't want to listen to more Chiefs Jags stuff, I don't need any more of that. Well, by the way, Shooter Sanders will be the backup in Cleveland, so the NFL world can breathe again. I've gotten 5 push notifications about that since this show started. I can't believe that we're getting Bronny James in the NFL. Not that he doesn't deserve to be in the league, and Bronny can too. The way that's getting treated nationally is insane. I wouldn't have talked about it today. In fact, it might have made it to the category of thing you don't need to care about. but I got distracted because it keeps getting beamed into my eyes. I'm swiping the notifications away like I would for any backup Cleveland Browns quarterback throughout history. I digress. Chiefs-Jags is a very simple game to point fingers at, I think. It's self-inflicted wounds in all three phases. You remember several of them. Maybe you've forgotten a couple. I'm not going to go through them all today. It's Friday. We're looking ahead. But you had, even while the offense had a really good day, a very encouraging day, the offensive line looks good. I really am feeling good about the state of the offense, even without Rashee Rice. And fingers crossed and knocking on wood and all the things where it sounds like, Nate Taylor said yesterday on Weird Games, it sounds like the Chiefs are being cautious with Xavier Worthy. If we get injury news about him today during the show, we'll let you know. We'll pass it along. I'm assuming Xavier Worthy's going to play, and I'm assuming he's going to get basically the same workload he got last week. And I don't like that he has an ankle injury. The shoulder thing, I'm cool with him like being able to just strap it up and go out there. It's not affecting your speed or your change of direction. Ankles do affect your speed and change of direction ability, so that scares me. I don't like that. But it seems like they're just kind of trying to play it both cautious and long-term health in mind. I guess that makes sense. Something to keep an eye on. I don't know any extra than you do, but seems like relative optimism there that he'll be okay for Sunday night. And if he's not, it's like, that. I mean, obviously, incredibly bad news. You saw what happened in week 1. The thing with the Jags game is the offense was really good with 2 particular drives where they had an opportunity to put their foot down. Before and after the half, the offense had a chance to double dip. Then it was just a chance to dip. And then it was just a chance to, oh, God, this game's going to be one of those, isn't it? Even if it's a win, it's going to be a close, late, scary one. And it ended up being a loss. The defense has some nice moments and some nice drives. 1 or 2 many mistakes. 1 or 2 many. We're not going to spend an hour talking about Shamari Connor. I don't think a lot of this is fair to put on his shoulders. I think Steve Spagnuolo, a defensive coordinator who I believe should be a Hall of Famer on what he has done as a defensive coordinator. Absolutely believe that. He's put Shamari Connor in very difficult positions to win as a man cover slot corner, which is not a thing that Shamari Connor is. And Shamari Connor has missed 1 defensive snap for the Chiefs this year. I think that was week 1. 1 defensive snap. He's not been on the field. He's getting Tyrann Mathieu, Justin Reed snap counts as a guy who isn't a future Hall of Famer. I've always kind of liked Shamari Connor's tool set. Never imagining him as the slot cover corner bumping Trent McDuffie outside. So I hope we get more Noah Williams. I'm sure people are going to ask about Noah Williams. I'm with it. It's not the stuff the Chiefs had installed for that game. It's not an excuse. I'm not happy about it, but that's just kind of where Spags left it and seems to be the case. So, and then special teams was like actually a relatively clean kicking day until the moment it wasn't, which gives the Jags a much shorter field to go down and do exactly what they did and win the football game. And you have a million penalties. There are some obvious things to change this week from like a coaching game planning standpoint, and there are some things that just have to be better from an execution standpoint. But a A- game might not be good enough against the Lions. That might have been a B game against the Jags. I think it was an A- game for the Chiefs offense. It might have just been a straight A. Pick 6 probably makes it not a straight A, honestly. And that's not something I'm still mad about, because sometimes the defensive coordinator makes the right call. Sometimes you get an unscouted look and it turns into a pick 6 and you go, well, that's the game. Not the result. Like that's pro football. We're all playing chess out here. So the frustration of the Jags game comes from it being so obvious to see how in an alternate universe the Chiefs make 1 or 2 fewer mistakes and they win that game. And we're talking about them being 3-2, and at worst they're 500 when Rashee Rice comes back, or they could be 4-2 when Rashee Rice comes back, straight off of this hot winning streak that has rejuvenated their season. But that's not what we're able to talk about now. Now we're talking about, okay, well, they've beaten a Giants team that may or may not be good, and a Ravens team that might not be good. They lose to 3 good teams. Where do the Chiefs belong? And the Chiefs belong in the muck. That's kind of the bad news, because for recent years, they have belonged above the muck. The good news is that, as I've said at the beginning of the show, the good news is I think there are like 25 teams in the muck. And I think the Chiefs have a better chance to climb to the top of that pile than just about anybody else who's in that grouping. They just have to get to the playoffs. And I still am holding out hope for the AFC West, because I do think that it doesn't matter as much as what you do in the postseason. You'd rather win the Super Bowl off a wild card than win the AFC West and lose in the AFC Championship game or whatever. But I do think that's still a reasonable goal to hold. And with the chaos this league has brought already, again, you telling me that there's no world in which the Jets beat the Broncos in London? I think it's London, right? I'm not holding my breath that the Dolphins are going to beat the Chargers in Miami, but would it be the weirdest thing that's happened in the NFL this year? I don't think it would be. It definitely wouldn't be. I just watched the Giants lose to the Saints and beat the Eagles in 5 days. That's crazy. So it kind of feels like everything's on the table. Then to answer the question that's on the screen right now, if you're watching on the live video on the KCSN YouTube channel, what's at stake in Chiefs versus Lions? If that sounds familiar, it's because last week we had what's at stake in Chiefs versus Jags. Because the league is still moving in the same way. It's still cycling this same stuff right now. What's at stake for the Chiefs is what I just mentioned. The celebration of a 500 record 6 games into the season feels like borderline unfathomable, given what the Chiefs have done in recent years. But it won't be wrong. If they're 500, if the Chiefs are 3-3, coming off of a weird, close, ugly, mistake-filled loss to the Jags, then they beat the Lions in prime time, and then Rashee Rice comes back, next week is about here come the Chiefs. Next week is about, you needed them to end up with 4 losses in those first 6 weeks without Rashee Rice. Maybe 5. You can't. They've figured everything out offensively. The offensive line is good. The running game's getting a little bit of juice back. Xavier Worthy's healthy enough. And here comes a fully healthy, fully rested Rashee Rice with fresher legs than anybody else in football. Here come the Chiefs. That's the talk next week if they win this game. If they lose, it's about the steepness of the hill they have to climb. It will be incredibly foolish if any of the talking heads go on TV next week after a Chiefs loss to the Lions and say, I'm calling it. It's over, folks. End of the dynasty. People were doing that in week 1, week 2. And people were doing that after the Super Bowl that they were playing in. So I'm sure somebody is going to say it if they lose this game. But it won't be right. It'll just be the trajectory becomes steeper. The path is harsher. The margin for error is thinner. That's kind of how I felt, again, going into the Jags game, and in some ways going into the Ravens game. You get to set your trajectory here, and still, as we stand right now, there's a lot of season left. By week 12, there won't be a lot of season left. You've got to stand on whatever your record ends up being. But that's the interesting evolution of all of this to me. There is still so much football left, and the Chiefs' number 1 offensive weapon has not been a part of the mix yet. I think, I don't know, we might be able to go back and check some receipts on this, but I think if you had told me before the season, hey, the Chiefs are going to lose to I really didn't think they'd lose to the Chargers in Brazil. The Chiefs are going to lose to the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Lions. But they'll be 3-3 when Rashee Rice comes back. I'm going, okay. That's okay. I'm not excited. I'm not happy. It's not fun. But I'm okay with it. If that happens to be with losses to the Chargers, Eagles, and Jags, and they get their wins over the Giants, Ravens, and Lions, that's still okay. Getting into the Rashee Rice chunk of the season with only 2 wins over a Giants team that hadn't yet made the change at quarterback and a Ravens team that appeared to be putting their final breaths into that game before having them stolen by the Chiefs. Not as encouraging. Not as delightful of a setup to the rest of your season. And again, a steeper hill to climb. Also, Paul in the chat says the 1 seed's 100% dead with another loss this week. I think that's probably true. I might be nitpicky on like 100%, because if you told me that the Bills are going to win this, the 1 seed, going 13-4, I'd say that sounds right. They've got 1 loss now. The Chiefs play them once. They dropped 2 other weird games if the Chiefs beat them that time. A 4-loss team could be the 1 seed. It's certainly harder. And now, and by the way, if I'm saying like, yeah, a 4-loss team could get the 1 seed, and the Chiefs are still in the mix to be a 4-loss team that wins the 1 seed, even if they lose to the Lions, I am, of course, saying, then yeah, they just have to not lose again this season. Which is unreasonable. I don't think anybody's going the rest of the way not losing another game this season. So, it's steep. It's frustrating. There's a good football team here with a below average record, and they're stuck in the muck. But just kind of mucking around right now. That's the bad news. The good news is there are 31 other teams rolling around in it with them. And we're going to get a couple more answers on Sunday night. The Chiefs are still favored in this game, by the way. It's been moving in the Chiefs' direction. That's crazy to me. Not like crazy. I was surprised to see that. I thought when the Chiefs lost to the Jags, I thought it was going to be a very similar line to Chiefs-Ravens, where the Lions come in as a narrow favorite, and then you just kind of watch that line hover around even throughout the week. Chiefs are favored here. We'll talk more about some of the reasons for that. We'll do one worry, one wish, plus a little bit of pleasant nonsense and a few other things we're looking forward to in Chiefs-Lions. We'll talk about that after the break.
Looking to remodel your home and in search of a top-quality company to do the job? Contact Elenco. Since 1986, Elenco has been the remodeler of choice for customers throughout Kansas and Missouri. As a family-owned and operated business, Elenco provides customers top-quality products and unbeatable service, straight from their family to yours. From windows and doors to siding, insulation, and bathroom renovations, there's no need that Elenco can't meet and exceed. Elenco only installs products that have proven track records of success, such as the Kohler Luckstone shower system. Elenco's installers are factory-trained professionals who know how to get the job done, not only quickly, but flawlessly. Whether you're located in Kansas City, Topeka, Wichita, or a rural town in northeastern Kansas or western Missouri, Elenco will come to you. Go to elencohome.com for more information. That's ALENCO home.com. Again, elencohome.com for more information, and contact them about all your home improvement needs.
Chiefs Kingdom, I have got a question for you. What is your favorite touchdown? Well, for me, I can confidently say that my favorite touchdown, it's the next one, because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From the first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. From spreads to money lines, same-game parlays, regular parlays, you want it, DraftKings has got it. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I use DraftKings Sportsbook, and you should too. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Couple things here from the live chat that I really enjoyed. Just some evolutions that were happening while Tucker was monitoring it while I was yapping. Levi Massey gives us an idea here that I have written down in the like evergreen future Google Doc that we have here, Tucker, where he says we should go through the NFL like a minor league baseball team, like alternate branding. We ought to just do that for the entire NFL, one division at a time.
Yeah.
We should. That's a great idea, Levi. Thank you. That's in the doc now.
Yep.
Then also, just several. Paul, Chiefs earned the muck. Alex, Brisco mucking around with Tucker, muck around and find out. Alex, what's wrong with Dong? Levi, keeping it a buck with Tuck in the muck. Which is, of course, the best of them so far. That's a great evolution. But what I really like is Alex says, I'm mad because that's way better. And Levi correctly says, there's a brain trust here. Mm-hmm. No bad ideas. We're running this chat like a Pixar story writing session. Yep. And as you noted, Tucker, the chat is a hive mind that way. I think there's... Look, here's the thing. Here's what we've established early in the show. If you're in the chat, you're vibe hunting, or at least vibe foraging.
Yes.
You are on the search for a vibe collective that we can all elevate together. So excellent things happening in the chat there. If you want to be a part of it again, you can check out the YouTube feed and watch along with us there.
True.
Tucker, how are you feeling here? The NFL's mucked around. You're about to tuck around and find out. I don't know if this wasn't on the plan for us to talk more about Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo, but the amount of just like Twitter reveling, I think, in what those two were doing last night was one of the most fun football like little sidecar scroll along games we've had in a minute. I think it was so weird.
Yeah, so those two guys being just those two guys also is very funny. And I think it also what really kind of compounded was the team that they did it to. Yes. It being the Philadelphia Eagles was a great team. And the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles tush-pushed 4 straight times for a touchdown and then didn't score again the rest of the game was so perfect. And you had Jalen Hurts out here throwing a real bad pick. You had a couple of pass interference calls. I think there was one that was there was a pass interference call that got them down into the red zone. And then the next play, A.J. Brown like runs through the cornerback and they're like, that should have been pass interference. And it's like, well, no, just because the wide receiver fell down doesn't mean that like, that's pass interference. And then like the next play or 2 plays later, Jalen Hurts throws that horrid pick. He throws that horrid interception. And then it's just kind of like, but pretty much after that happened, it was over. The momentum was swung in the direction of the Giants. I know you get that weird altercation, which people might be blowing it out of proportion. I don't know, with just like how people talk on the sidelines of Brian Dable and like the independent neurologist. I think that like Dable was probably just fired up. I don't think he was like yelling at telling him like, hey, we're putting him back in. I don't think that's what was happening.
Faster.
Yeah. I think he was just like, because the Giants were on the field. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Giants were on the field, and so he was
I believe he had seen 1 or 2 plays of Russell Wilson and immediately went to go grab the lapel of the independent neurologist because he couldn't watch Russell Wilson play anymore, I think is what happened.
Right. And I don't think it was anything of just like, you tell me he doesn't have a concussion. I don't think it was that. I think he was just like bummed. And the way that those guys communicate, look, we are very familiar with a couple of guys communicating with each other pretty passionately on the sidelines in Kansas City. So I don't necessarily think that it's almost like throwing stones inside of a glass house. I didn't think too much of it, right? I know that like people are probably kind of sensitive to it now just because with like the Jonathan Gannon thing that happened with hitting DeMarcado in like the chest, him getting fined for it, everything. There is a fine line of like competitive intensity and then like workplace harassment at the same time.
Yeah, there's a line somewhere.
There's a fun balance. Fun is an interesting adjective there, but there is a balance there, and I do think going back to the Scatabo of it all, the Scataboo.
I go back and forth every time because everyone else seems to also.
I think it's Scataboo, but I think personally Scatabo sounds better.
Ooh, I think I like Scataboo better because he sounds like he's scaring you. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I understand the hesitation.
Just the clips of him. Have you seen the clip going around this morning of him at Arizona State where he was just hitting his head into a brick wall, and all of his teammates are just like, "What do you do? What muscle does that work?" I think it's what one guy says. He said, "Got to get the neck warmed up."
I didn't see that. It's the least surprising thing in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think what made my heart happy, I'm glad you mentioned the quadruple tush push going into no more points. That felt like the football gods putting their thumb on the scale and saying, look, this is not ethical football that you're playing. You know what is, well, ethical is probably the wrong word for this one. You know what is ethical football? Handing the ball to Cam Scataboo or letting Jackson Dart dive crown of his helmet first for first downs, letting Cam Scataboo get to like Marshawn Lynch levels of run through a mother bleeper face. Yeah. Like just that is physical football. That is ethical hoops. That is the way this game was meant to be played, damn it. Not in a rugby scrum where a bunch of people line up together real close, one of them false starts and nobody ever calls it. That would happen to the game I love. Hate that.
To see that happen, and then the NFL tweeting out a 3-minute long video clip of like, here's the full sequence of the 4 tush push. I was just like, what are we doing, guys?
Did you think that was like a microaggression from the social manager or something? Because I saw them tweet that out. Here's 2 crazy things. One, Dan Orlovsky just tweeted last week that he's not allowed to tweet out like breakdown clips anymore because the NFL told him to stop. Yeah. Obviously, the NFL can tweet out clips of their own, but usually when they do, they clip very, very small chunks.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the ball is literally being snapped when they cut their highlights. I could not tell you a time that I've seen them just put out a 3.5-minute chunk of game footage, the 3.5-minute chunk of the broadcast or whatever, and they did it for the least fun highlights of the year. Like, I mean, 3 one-yard scrums and then a touchdown is just not. I don't know. I wondered if that was like, yeah, put it out there and people are gonna freak out. That was very. I'm glad you mentioned it because it was very strange to me. It's like, yeah, we'll highlight this. Here you can have all of the tush push content you want, just no real plays.
This morning, I had tweeted out. I quote tweeted after the game got done of just like, the Eagles didn't score again after this sequence with the Donald Glover gif of him saying, "Good." And Eagles fans this morning were starting to find it and like get into my mentions and being like, "Oh, you're still upset about the Super Bowl," and so I muted that conversation. But I appreciate the engagement on that as well. So it's getting over 100,000 views. So thank you for pushing it over that 100,000 views. Fans. Yeah, thank you, Eagles fans. Yeah, I did really enjoy that game. I think I talked about this. Man, I'm on so many shows, so I can't remember who I talked about this with.
I hope it was me. I hope you realize halfway through this story. I've done this before. Sometimes like, yeah, we had a really interesting chat with with you actually.
Yeah. Tara, have I ever told you about the teams that Tara hates? Tara hates 2 football teams in the National Football League.
I know she hates the Eagles, right?
She hates the Eagles because of Sirianni. She really hates Nick Sirianni. And she also hates the Buffalo Bills a whole lot too.
Oh, good, great, fantastic.
Yeah, so she's not a big Josh Allen fan. Josh Allen, she thinks he flops too much, which like
she knows more ball than most, I guess.
She thinks he flops too much, kind of complains too much too. So she unfortunately went to bed, but like when the Eagles were they were playing I don't know if they were winning when she went to bed, but she was disappointed. But when she woke up this morning to find out that they had lost, it was the 4 straight tush pushes, and she went to bed. She was like, "That play's so dumb. I can't believe that this is happening." She went to sleep. I still had some work to do, so I stayed up a little bit later. And then she texted me because she went to the gym this morning. On her way to the gym, she texted me. She said, "Wait, the Eagles lost," in all caps. So that was awesome. That was a great moment for the Eagles and the Giants. I'm glad the Giants could do that. And also, shout out to the Dallas Cowboys defense. I want to shout out the Dallas Cowboys defense for convincing the Giants that Russell Wilson was still good, so he had to play against the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs got to play the Russell Wilson Giants instead of the Jackson Dart Giants.
Yeah, absolutely great call. Let's go ahead and flip over. Let's get to our one worry, one wish here. While I update everyone on your tweet that you just described, again, You are quote tweeting the entire tush push sequence.
Yes.
With the Donald Glover good gif. The text just says, Philly did not score again after this abomination. Donald Glover gif good.
Factually correct.
That has 155 retweets, 5.4 thousand likes, and 28 bookmarks.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
This isn't a keep receipts situation.
Yeah,
You didn't say they're never going to score again. You were celebrating the thing that happened in the football game. This popped off. Also, this might be the first time for me to publicly both thank and apologize to you for your there's only one Patrick LaVon Mahomes tweet, because my quote tweet of that is the biggest, the most action I've gotten on Twitter in an incredibly long time, which is explicitly a bad thing. But still, I enjoy the dopamine that I got in the meantime.
I would also like to thank you for quote tweeting that tweet, because in turn, it also got me the impressions on my tweet as well. So it's us helping each other. It was up to like 1.1 when I looked at it. I was like, how did this tweet pop off? And then I did see your tweet was at like 1.1. I was like, oh, so all of my impressions
now.
Yeah, it's like all of my impressions came from Josh's quote tweet. That's good. I'm glad. But no, it is a good joke. But then here's one thing. I know this is not one worry, one wish, but this is one thing about Twitter that incredibly grinds my gears. There's a lot of things, but this is the one thing. This is the one thing? Well, one thing that grinds my gears about it is when somebody will respond. So like when you said that was a very good joke that you did. Like, well, technically there's three.
Three, right? Yeah.
But then for the next hour and a half, every one of my responses was, well, there's three. They just would like take your joke and then just would respond it back to me. And everyone in the comment section would parrot it. It happens if I do like a football take, if I'd be like, yeah, that play was pretty bad from Chris Jones. And then somebody will respond and be like, yeah, well, there was a flag on the play. And then for the next hour, everyone is saying the same thing. I don't know. It's like, do these people not look before they go and say something, or do they say it and be like, "Oh, I also need to say the same thing," as if I don't already know? That is one of the things. Like that will make me mute a thread quicker than anything. Quicker than anything, I will make me just mute that so fast with just the parroting.
You're 100% right. And Jackie makes the point also, like half of those are bots, maybe more than half of those are bots, but some of those are real people. Some of those are real people with names and faces and jobs, with things in their bio about their life.
The bios are funny.
The bio, you can, 80% of the bios are the same.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, let's rip it. Let's get back to Chiefs Lions. Let's get to one worry, one wish. Ow. We're doing it. It's recurring. We've made it happen. We have one recurring bit we've done on a regular basis. I'm going to, both of my worries and wishes are somewhat injury related, but not the Chiefs. Ooh. My worry here is that the offensive line takes a little bit of a step back in this game. Aiden Hutchinson is obviously an animal. Muhammad on the other side has graded out very well this year, and Allie McNeil has been a full participant in practice this week, so it looks like, I don't know what his snap count will be or how much they'll play him, but it looks like he's in line, recovering from his knee injury. Looks like he's in line to make his season debut against the Chiefs on Sunday night. So just tests across the board. This isn't an expectation, but I'm a little bit worried that you have good competition for Juwan Taylor, really good competition. It depends on, I guess, where Hutchinson wants to be, but both tackles are going to end up with their hands full. You're going to get their interior difference maker in the mix there as well. I've been very impressed and very positive on this O-line, particularly these last 2 weeks, but that Ravens D-line was just mutilated by injuries, and the Jags were at least, missing Walker, missing one real important part, but they held up against Josh Hines-Allen. So this isn't a soothsaying. I'm not necessarily saying this is going to happen, but if there was like one negative thing that we could be talking about on Monday, I'd be a little bit bummed if it's the offensive line taking a step back. Something to keep an eye on, the level of competition being pretty high from this Lions defense. What are you worried about?
I am worried. That's a very good point you bring up about the injuries. There's a tweet that my buddy Easy in Detroit sent me about kind of their injuries that I'll tell you after my worries a little bit, because there are some while they are getting those guys healthy and back, there are some pretty big injuries that they don't anticipate guys to play in this game that will be pretty big. My worry is we found this out on the stream. I want to shout out Jackie Moon for this because we had a research time on the stream. I think this was on Wednesday. It's Tuesday. No, I think it was Wednesday. We had a research time. He asked me, who would you take, Jared Goff or Baker Mayfield? And my first reaction was like, oh, I'll take Baker. Like Baker. Baker's a really good quarterback. I like Baker Mayfield. Then I was like, you know what? Pro Football Reference, they have like their little stat compare thing. I was like, let's throw those guys in the stat compare. Let's see it. I threw it in there, just did the whole careers. Jared Goff's numbers were better. And I was like, oh, that's
interesting.
It's kind of surprising. I was like, all right, well, look, that's not fair. I mean, you can't like do Cleveland,
right,
Baker.
What about just Tampa, Detroit? Yeah.
Just Tampa, Detroit is what it is. So it's just the years that Baker Mayfield has been in Tampa. So these last 3 seasons for Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, it's still not close. Jared Goff is a sneaky, really good quarterback. And I am worried, Josh. I am worried that Jared Goff has a really good game because he has been a very good quarterback this season. He's been a very good quarterback for the last 3 seasons. And I think he might be one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the game right now. And Jared Goff, I know he does have a lot of help. It does obviously help that he had a really good offensive line, helps he has good weapons. Sure. That does help. Obviously, with Baker Mayfield, he's got really good weapons.
Exactly.
And he's got a really good offensive line. Like, right? But he's still a good quarterback, still a good facilitator. I'm worried about a Jared Goff, a good Jared Goff performance. It could really set the Chiefs back in this game. And Jared Goff is going to be the guy that I think is kind of the tipping point between the Chiefs defense and the offense. I know like the rushing attack is obviously the big thing, right? Like the rushing game, the Chiefs trying to stop the run, but Jared Goff could be like that tiebreaker, that edge for the Lions offense over the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, I really like that. It's a fun comp, and also those are both guys who this year have looked pretty good surviving after losing their offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
I think you could go, well, Goff probably has the better head coach because still nobody seems to give Todd Bowles real respect, and I'm a part of that. I don't know why. I don't know. It's not fair, I don't think, but I think I'm just kind of offensive coordinator pilled. Yeah. But they both lost their OCs, and they've both found stability this season. Like you said, I was going to mention the weapons thing of like, well, yeah, Goff has a great supporting cast with 2 really good running backs and 2 really good pass catchers at receiver and tight end. Like, well, Baker Mayfield is now up to 3, when healthy, up to 3 really good wide receivers and at least 1 really good running back and a running game that seems to work. And they're surviving some injuries on the O-line and whatnot. So, yeah, that's a fun one. Here's my wish then. With the injuries in mind, and I'm curious what else you've got. I was going to bring the other half here of the Lions injury report.
Yes.
Terrion Arnold has not practiced. Zach Cunningham has not practiced. This is obviously offensive line. Taylor Decker not practicing. Kirby Joseph not practiced yet this week. This is not including today. This is just Wednesday, Thursday. Brian Branch has been limited in both of these both practices. There you go. That and Amon-Ra St. Brown, we should mention, missed Wednesday, but I think that's kind of another load management, keep him fresh kind
precautionary,
of thing. He was a full participant yesterday. But Terrion Arnold, a little bit of limitation for Brian Branch is worth keeping an eye on. The Ravens had a couple of those guys who came into the game questionable and then left during the game or weren't able to stay fresh there. And they have been, is it up to now 4 or 5 defensive backs who are either out for this game or their health is in some form of question at this point. Yeah. So my wish on the other side of like being a little bit worried about the O-line, my wish is give me the Tyquan Thornton game. We got the Tyquan Thornton half against the Jags. It was 3 for 90, and then there was not another completion that counted to Tyquan Thornton. So I think if you're going to try to, and maybe there's a lot of ways you could take advantage of an injury-riddled secondary, but I think if you're kind of hunting for coverage busts or matchups you think you can win, a great way to build yourself a little bit of wiggle room in a game like this is to just take your deep shots, to take your chunk plays. And Thornton's been really good not only at getting open, but also getting back to the football when Mahomes can't put everything on it because he's being flattened by a pass rusher because he's holding onto the ball to the final moment. So, like Jackie in the chat asks, like, worried Thornton becomes a part-time player once Rice comes back. Thornton's become a little bit of a part-time player since Worthy's been back. And I think that's okay if it's a relief pitcher kind of role, not a every 5-day starter, if that makes any sense at all. If he's the 6th man on your NBA bench or your 7th or whatever, not your 10th, you know? Mm-hmm. So I need to see him stay in the mix there with or without Worthy press this defense in the passing game. It's obviously how the Chiefs want to attack them anyway. You've got to have protection from your O-line to do that. So that's how my worry and wish really stick together there. They're very intertwined. But if you told me we're getting a good Tyquan Thornton game, I'm going to feel pretty good about it because I do think there's a chance for the Chiefs to get a little bit of an edge there as the Lions are dealing with all those injuries in their secondary.
So you bring up the injuries. Colton Pouncey, who covers the Lions for The Athletic, my buddy Easy over in Detroit, as I mentioned, sent me the tweet from Colton here. Mizzou made from Colton Pouncey, too. Dan Campbell says he doesn't see Kirby Joseph or Brian Branch practicing on Friday. We'll know about their status closer to the game. Same with Taylor. Taylor Decker hasn't practiced all year. Right. So, like, that's kind of not a shock with him. And Avonte Maddox as well, also not practicing on Friday. Those are pretty big ones, especially the Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. Like, Kirby Joseph has kind of been dealing with this knee issue. Those are two really good safeties in the National Football League, and they're on the same team. Yep. Like, that is I don't want to overstate how big, like, those two guys not playing in this game will be. The last time that these two teams played was Brian Branch's first NFL game, and Kadarius Toney handed him a football to run back for a touchdown. Yep. So I'm sure he'd like to be back in Kansas City and playing in this game. I'm sure the Lions would like to have him. But as you mentioned, the corners, they're on their 4th, 5th, and 6th corners heading into the season, right?
Right.
Their top 3 corners heading into the season are on the injured reserve. And one of them is not on the injured reserve, but he has a shoulder issue that he's probably not going to play through this week. It's not season ending, but it's kind of like Xavier Worthy's, truthfully, when it comes down to it. But I think that's a really good wish. My wish is still Jared Goff. It's going to be a Jared Goff game instead of a Jared Goff game because I feel like we're kind of due at some point. I talk about how good Jared Goff has been, but there are still those moments, kind of like Trevor Lawrence has been, right? There's still some moments with Trevor Lawrence where or Jared Goff where you're looking at like, that's not Jared Goff, that's Jared Goff, right? Like there's a couple of brain fart moments, and I think how well Jared Goff's been playing, it almost feels like you're due for a Jared Goff moment, and the Chiefs defense would be really wanting to have one of those, especially how good this offense is, man. Like, they can run the football really well. As I mentioned, I think Jared Goff is kind of that's why my worry and my wish center around both Jared Goff is because I think he's kind of the tipping point, right? Like, yep. I think that the Chiefs can kind of figure out how to contain the run. They have been really good at containing running backs this season. I think they can figure that out. If Jared Goff can turn it on, or if he doesn't turn it on, I think that's kind of where this game sways.
I agree with you there. Even as some of the Chiefs' rushing totals haven't been defending the running totals, even as some of those haven't been very good overall, you've got 70 yards from Justice Hill in garbage time and a lot of quarterbacks moving the chains with their legs. And that, hopefully, that's not a problem against Jared Goff. I didn't think it was going to be such a big problem against Herbert or Lawrence, but it better not be a problem against Jared Goff. Yeah. Tucker, if you sign off on this, I'm going to call an audible, as we always do. When the show's going well, when we have plenty to talk about, when we just get stuck chatting and yapping, stuff starts getting bumped out of the rundown. Yep. I think we have two things to save for Monday now. I think we have the behind-the-scenes thing that we have created to show to the visual audience. Yeah. I don't think we need that right now. Right. And I think the rapid-fire reviews, I think we'll have even more to hit after a weekend, that I know a couple of these are definitely going to carry over. Yeah. So I think it's about 1 o'clock. It's about 1 o'clock on a Friday. I think we have one bit of bad juju, not Smith-Schuster, just the vibes. We've got one thing to expel from our systems from last week. I think it's time for us to go straight to sad fans. Right. We say an official goodbye to Chiefs-Jags, and we look ahead to Chiefs-Lions. Does that work with you?
I think it's perfect.
Without further ado, if somehow maybe you're new to this, what happens here is the one and only Beards McFly. He's been doing this for years, or did this for many years. He was out of the game for a period of time. Well, he is unretired like Darren Waller. He's playing his best ball now, inexplicably. That's not necessarily true about either of them, I don't think. But Beards McFly has brought the standard back to where it needs to be for the true often imitated, never replicated sad fans. Beards goes through and he trolls the ocean floor of Reddit, of Twitter, of social media, and he finds the sadness of a losing team's fan base and he brings it to us in a way that we can enjoy. The problem is, this is the third time in 5 weeks that it's been sad Chiefs fans, which is significantly less fun, but as I've often heard over the years, it can be cathartic. So, without further ado, searching for better vibes this Sunday, here is Sad Fans, Chiefs losing to the Jaguars edition.
Oh, and now, a list of things said by sad Chiefs fans. I'm very childish, but Tootin is a crazy last name. Cook should be changed to Burnt. Drive was over 5 minutes ago, but okay. The announcers basically calling Mahomes old at the age of 30 makes me sad, LOL. Chiefs 14, Tranquil 7. One last drink for the night. Pick it for me, fam. Whiskey sour or whiskey sour? Predictable 3 and out. Oh my god. If they would stop stopping themselves, this game would already be over. Yeah, man, just tackle our wide receivers with the ball in midair. They ain't calling. My guy did not make me a fresh whiskey sour for a quick 3 and out. We get the ball at half is utterly meaningless. Was that seriously 911 in space? That doesn't strain credulity of whoever's left watching cable TV? A fade to a 5'9", 180-pound wide receiver is just a stupid play call idea. Facepalm emoji. We were so f***ing back and then decided to leave again. Yeah. Is our defense good or not? Genuine question. I honestly cannot tell this year. Oh yes, the good old-fashioned let's make Trevor Lawrence look like Mike Vick defense. And just like that, our 14-0 lead evaporates. Great halftime adjustments. Fire Matt Nagy. Parentheses. It's not his fault, but I'll feel better. I don't think I like football anymore, Dad. That was one of Mahomes' worst throws ever. I don't know what the he saw there. 21 unanswered. Now we get to watch a 3 and out. Yay. I don't know who calls plays, but they've been absolutely dog in the red zone for years. I'm not having fun now. Well, we did want the defense to get some rest. Shrug emoji. If my favorite football teams could stop actively trying to lose games this year, that would be fantastic. Where was the hold? Guys, it's okay. We get all the calls. Oh, so they do know what a hold is. I want the first quarter Chiefs back. This is always why our drives always stall out. Penalty. Dumbass long shot on 1st and long. More dumb f***ery. F***ing lame duck offense all over again. Making Trevor look like Lamar Jackson tonight. F***ing awful. I hope these refs have really terrible car trouble for the rest of their lives. Is there any more worthless job in the world than the ref in the booth? The guy who would agree with the refs if they say the field was f***ing red? Absolutely worthless position and adds nothing to the game. Boy, the refs are really digging down into the rulebook today for the calls. At what point are we going to talk about Butker? And there's the catastrophe I thought wouldn't happen. Ha ha, they threw a flag against us just in case. I just had Mariota flashbacks. Feed Tobe to the alligators. Lame ass game. Comment. Cut Jack Cochran. What does he contribute? Reply. Penalties. Crying emoji. Yeah. Hollywood just out there running around. Forgot there was a ball involved. God. Big cat teams. Chris Jones do literally anything challenge. Stop holding on the f***ing kickoff returns. The Jags' game-winning drive literally started with Lawrence dancing around and burning 30 seconds and a timeout to gain a total of 3 yards. And they still found a way, the game-winning TD. Yuck. This defense couldn't tackle an armchair. The Trevor Lawrence TD was right up there with Andrew Luck and Tannehill. Last season, we found as many ways to win as possible. This year, we're finding just as many ways to lose. And now, the one thing that didn't make it from the opposing team, of which I had very many good things that we will never hear again. Ugh! Thanks, Chiefs. Anybody else yell at the TV just now? Don't eat it! Don't eat it! Don't eat it! And now, the winner of things said by sad Chiefs fans. Our return from death was greatly exaggerated.
Did that help? That make you guys feel better? I'm gonna turn my lights back on. I don't feel a lot better, but I feel something, which I guess is good.
I feel.
Yeah. Oh, Beards in the chat. So that was when Trevor Lawrence was picking his nose on national TV.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
That
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Tucker, I think I hate the AFC South.
Yeah, that would be fair.
I think that division isn't something I want in my life anymore.
That's the first bad Jags thing, right?
Well, other than their turf mystically breaking the collarbones of Hollywood Brown and Tyreek Hill, I guess. Oh, and they tried to break Patrick Mahomes' ankle that one time.
Yeah.
But the first bad loss to them, maybe?
Yeah, I think
right?
that's probably the first bad. Andre Cisco was like headhunting Juju. I do remember that. Yeah, there's been some weird one. The Texans, I mean, obviously you have that comeback against the Texans in the Mahomes era. The Chiefs' first like real playoff win in a long time came against the Texans when Alex Smith beat him. So like, I don't really have anything against the Texans. I don't think.
That's very fair.
But yeah, the
Kale
Colts.
Mitchell's in the chat. The Colts are on the way. Yeah, the 4-1 Colts eventually. Yeah, I mean that. I don't know who's gonna win that game, but it's gonna be 17-14. Like that's just done already.
Yeah.
I'll take the under. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that happened. Just a lot of trauma from the AFC South. I don't want to think about anymore.
Sky Moore's giving me a lot of trauma because apparently ever since that he got traded from the Chiefs from the Niners, Matt Vernon and I have not mentioned him on one of our shows.
I heard you guys deal with that fact on an episode like 2 months after the trade. I mean, we're pretty close to that now. It's like recently I heard you guys realize, oh, we've mentioned him every single episode of this show.
Keep it going, man. We did it this week. 2 times this week. We talked about Sky Moore. Had to see if we had the old vintage Sky Moore box score of the 1 target, no catch.
That was the DeAndre Hopkins against the Ravens game, right? Is that what you ended up with? I think that's when you guys talked about it that I heard.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Also, Mizzou19 in the chat mentioned, the Colts have Lou Anarumo now, which is also scary because he's just like the one sort of like mystical wizard that just seems to cast some sort of spell. I thought Big Lou with the Bengals was going to be the most annoying, but I underestimated that the Colts might just be like a 9-win team on November 23rd at noon, by the way. Oh, God, Tucker, that game might get flexed.
I'm going to that game, buddy. I've got tickets.
No!
I've got tickets already to that game.
Why would you buy tickets to Chiefs Colts?
Well, my college roommate is a Colts fan. Yeah. We watched one of the first games that we had watched together. Because we knew each other obviously like in 3rd grade, and then I moved away. Then we became buddies again in college, and we were roommates. One of the first games that we watched was actually Andrew Luck's last game when he lost to the Chiefs in like the divisional round in 2018.
Yeah, it had to be that one, not any other Chiefs Colts games of history, because otherwise I don't know how you could stay friends.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that game. I forgot
Man,
Big Lou's their D coordinator, dude. That actually made me sick to my stomach when you said that, and I realized
The
I was
noise
like,
you
oh,
made.
no.
I was afraid that you were going to vomit off camera, which is better than vomiting on camera for what it's worth. But I was
Before
afraid.
we get out of here, I just saw Matt Derrick tweeted about.
Yes, I did too.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is your show, so go ahead.
No, read it. You got it. You got it. Read it.
Oh gosh, well, I feel
Get your
bad
mind off Big Lou.
because I talked about it. But Matt Derrick says Chiefs coach Andy Reid says no injuries to report. Xavier Worthy practiced and moved around well. Should be no restrictions or limitations, he said. Also, Christian Fulton is a wait and see, he said.
Which is, I think he's been a full participant all week, assuming he was again today. So we'll wait and see. The Christian Fulton wait and see is like, we're getting in real long game territory here. It was wait and see in June, right?
I know it kind of bums you. Like, I know we've kind of been long, we've ran long, and does it bum you out that like the Chiefs, like 3 free agents that they signed, their 3 marquee free agents as soon as free agency opened were Jalen Moore, I forgot his name because he hasn't played, Elijah Mitchell, who also hasn't played, and then Christian Fulton, who also has played, I think, 12 snaps?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does. That does bum me out a little bit. I'm remaining pretty even-keeled on the Jalen Moore thing. The Jalen Moore one is...
It's fine. It's whatever,
right.
You know?
It's just like a little bit of a bummer because you think, oh, well, that cap space would be kind of nice, but you didn't know you were going to have Josh Simmons. Even if you did, you didn't know if Josh Simmons was going to be healthy, and next year Jalen Moore is probably your starting right tackle. Right. So, like, the Jalen Moore one is fine, but a little bit like, I understand just going like, oh, it would be nice if you had, with the benefit of hindsight, which you don't have. Fulton thing is a bummer because I was just so excited. I loved that signing because it was the Trent McDuffie in the slot thing where it's like, oh, well, at least late in the game when that game against the Jags is close for no reason, at least it'll be Trent McDuffie lined up in man slot coverage and not Shamari Connor. And then Christian Fulton has, like, I mean, I don't know how many times he's practiced, including training camp this year. I mean, he's been so infrequently available it's a bummer. And obviously Noah Williams could have also gotten into that mix last week and helped some things, but you also don't want to put all that on Noah Williams. So yeah, Christian Fulton, sad. The Elijah Mitchell thing,
bizarre.
I mean, he's clearly what's bizarre about it to me is that they clearly think that he is significantly better than Carson Steele or Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he has a roster spot, but they think that he is significantly worse than Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and Brashard Smith because he's never active. He hasn't been active yet this year. So, it's running back is a high-impact position, obviously, and you assume that somebody's going to get injured eventually, and you'll just say, hey, Elijah Mitchell, you're running back 3 whenever somebody else gets banged up, if somebody misses a week, but I don't know. It is kind of a bummer. And then, meanwhile, Jerry Tillery has just not been very good to this point. And the free agent list is pretty short after that. Yeah. And Tillery's a 1-year deal.
Yeah, that's we talked about that on my stream. I didn't need to bring it up here, but it's one of those things where I started to look back and think about it, be like, oh, all of their out of house free agents that they signed aren't doing anything.
Yep, that might be a bye week larger topic to revisit, or frankly, like mentioning on your stream on KCSN Live is a perfect time to have that kind of conversation and kind of a midweek chat of so how do we review this at the quarter mark, at the third mark, halfway through the season, and right now, obviously Josh Simmons has been an absolute hit, and you're getting some snaps from other guys, but. Right now, the guys making this team hum are. There's probably an example or two here. I'm not remembering, but it's guys who were here last year and Josh Simmons. I mean, Kingsley's starting, but he was here last year. Hollywood's playing more, but he was obviously here last year. Tyquan Thornton is honestly the biggest.
He was technically here last.
He was here last year. You're right. Yeah. He was on the practice squad last year.
Yeah.
The true addition is Josh Simmons. First round pick, makes sense. Mm-hmm. Who's the second biggest addition? Who's had the second largest impact? Outside of Josh Simmons. Somebody fire off something. Give us an answer in the chat here.
Maybe,
man. It's just I think that there's still an upshot for him, but it hasn't been a lot right now.
Hollywood Brown doesn't count because he was on the team last year.
Right, it has to if it's guys returning, because then you could also throw like a Minahu into the mix or whatever. But he was here last year.
It's probably like Tillery or Brashard Smith. That's how low the bar is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it really might be. I won't just end the show on that because I keep thinking that can't be it, right?
Yeah, no, we have to go out. Mike Denny said we need a positive vibe to go out on. And
I don't know if I can provide that. We save sad fans to the end for.
That is true.
For that reason. I mean, so the entire starting line is all there on offense. I guess it probably will be Omar Norman Lott, but he's just been hurt enough that it's not like he's played a significant number of snaps. Same for Gelati.
Rasheed's PCL, it ceased to exist last year.
Right? He hasn't played yet!
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man, it just is. Like, the only guys like in starting spots right now are Josh Simmons and kind of Omar Norman Lott.
Right, he's only played what, 2 games, 3 games, 2 games, 3 games.
Just be at least basically full games. Yeah, I think 2 or 3.
Less than ideal from a second round pick, by the way.
I don't know what's going on there.
It's now a shoulder. It's moved up. That's not where your weight is supposed to go.
Oh man, his injury is moving up and Worthy's is moving down.
Yeah.
I
They traded
don't
injuries.
Like that. No, that's not good. I'd rather have my 180-pound wide receiver have the shoulder and no ankle injury, and I'd rather have my defensive tackle have full use of his shoulders.
Bossa, Josh Zeischer mentions Bossa and No Williams on teams. No Williams probably is.
I guess, but you wouldn't have known that last. So anyway, what we've basically done,
right.
What we are satisfied with now is that Josh Simmons has made an enormous impact in his first year with the team.
Yes.
And no one else has made a medium impact in their first year. It's interesting for a team that did feel like it was kind of setting up for like a little bit of a refresh in some places.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be worth doing another kind of like a roster dig a little bit.
Yeah.
Doing the show on Mondays and Fridays, obviously we're usually looking at the games from the weekend and then looking ahead to the next one. I don't know, Tucker, maybe I'll just hop on KCSN Live with you one of these upcoming weeks and we're just going to do a full roster tear down and build up.
You should. During the bye week, the chat already decided that we're doing I'm doing a college football 25 road to glory, and I'm making a running back and putting up the most numbers possible. Like, we're going easy mode. We are making it, and we are going. And like, if you just want to pop on, hang out while we'll answer Chiefs questions and talk about it. But as I try to put up the most insane numbers, that probably like Nebraska, I would assume would be the school to go to put up insane rushing numbers. But that's what the chat already decided on Thursday that we're doing during the bye week.
Fantastic. I will keep bringing some I know we've already got bye week ideas for this show. I will continue to bring bye week. Bye week, if the Chiefs are winning or losing, the bye week is going to be a vibe reset that I think we're all really going to need.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a funny, interesting comment about Bossa here too from Mizzou 19. Like, hey, let's use a 5th and a 7th round pick on a backup weak side linebacker who won't see the field, even though we have immediate needs at running back and D line. Yeah. Yeah. I think Bossa still is. I'm not calling any of these rookie class members this year regardless. No. But yeah, like it was moving up to go get a special teams linebacker who might be, if he's a Drew Tranquil replacement last year, we're not going to be stressed about it at all. But yeah, there's some room to kind of evaluate how the Chiefs got here, and
for sure.
And if they're 3-3 after beating the Lions when we talk next on Monday, then we're not going to be sad about any of it. So. That's the magic of this silly sport where the ball isn't round, and this silly show where it's largely about the Chiefs and then also some other things. Oh, we've been very Chiefy this season.
We have been.
We'll make up for that some on Monday, especially if the Chiefs lose. If the Chiefs lose, maybe Monday's just like maybe
Toronto
Monday
Argonauts
is
podcast.
Say again.
We're gonna become a Toronto Argonauts podcast.
Yes, we go Toronto Argonauts. We might just become a Rasheed Rice podcast on Monday if that's the case. Hey, those first 6 games, that was just the Chiefs had a 9-game preseason this year, and then Rasheed Rice joined.
Right.
So that's we'll figure that out on Monday. I do hope everybody enjoys what should be a very fun NFL weekend. Starts early on Sunday morning. Will end for us on Sunday night. You'll, of course, have all the coverage you can expect here on KCSN. Plus, I've got the Chiefs Radio Network pre- and post-game show over there. So plenty of time to talk about Chiefs-Lions. I hope we're talking about a win on Monday. But either way, we'll be here right around noon on Monday. Until then, Bye, Mom.